Hey everyone, Chris of Midlife Crisis Media here. Welcome to the Sony PlayStation 5 edition of my Video Game Collection 2024 live streams. This is part 1 of 2. Yep, I am closing in on the end of these streams. We are almost there, everybody. Once we're done with the video games, moving on to the movies. It continues. Anyway, so like I normally do with all of these streams, I'm going to first discuss my history with this brand new console. You know, it is the current gen. The only, I don't know, is the Switch considered current gen? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. I guess the Wii U counted toward the previous one, and the Switch counts towards this one. So the Switch was the first of the current gen consoles, I guess. Whatever. But first, why do I do these streams? I keep forgetting to talk about this. There's 4 reasons. It's fun. It's good content for the channel. Get to talk to all these awesome people, and it's fun. I have a great time doing all of these streams, unless I'm really tired, and then I start stammering over my words like I normally do. But anyway, so what's my history with the console? So this is one of the few consoles where I really kind of wanted it off the bat. Usually I wait for a year or two for all the kinks to get worked out, for there to be a library to jump right into instead of just a couple of like random launch games that are just like tech demo kind of things. There's actual real games out there to play. You know, everything, it's been established. And no, this was the one where I was like right off the bat, like, I want that. But the thing was, when it launched, or when the pre-sales, let's say, went up for the PS5, I was too slow. I didn't think that it was going to be this mad dash for this console. I was completely unprepared. So I was like, oh, when I get paid, on Friday, I'll put in my pre-order. Nope, they were pretty much gone day one. And there was no way you were ever going to get it from that point on. Like, from that point, it was the hardest thing. That and the Xbox Series X were the hardest things to find in gaming for at least a year and a half, 2 years. So I pretty much said, okay, I'll just get it on launch. Maybe, the places, the video game stores, like the GameStops and the Best Buy and the Target and the Walmart and all, they'll have, the consoles in. It's not going to be that crazy. Nope, it was, because COVID hit, and then they could not create enough consoles to keep up with the demand. So it became this like reseller's dream where people are just buying multiple consoles and then reselling them for twice, sometimes 3 times the price to the gamers that are willing to pay that much. I was not one of them. There were like raffles going on. There were like profiles on Twitter that were created specifically to let you know when PlayStation 5s were up for sale on one of the major retailers' websites. Like Costco might have had it, or Sam's Club might have one, or Walmart, Target, that kind of thing. And it became like a nightmare scenario for gamers, especially me, because I know I wanted one off the bat, couldn't get one. I was pretty much okay with it at first. I'm like, look, that's just $500 I don't have to spend right now. I'm okay with the PS4. There's still great PS4 games coming out. The games that are coming out for the PS5 at the beginning, aside from a couple of specific games, were coming out on the PS4 as well, and they were just as good. So I was not completely heartbroken about it. But like every time I was like, all right, I have the money now. I'm going to dedicate time to try to get one of these consoles. It would always fall through. Like, I was on vacation for 2 weeks at the end of 2020. I'm going to dedicate some time toward looking at those websites and those Twitter profiles to make sure that I'm there whenever the consoles would go up for sale. And there was at least 3 times. And it was also during, like, was it 3 or 4 months later in the spring, I did the exact same thing. And it would be like I would walk away from my computer to go and take a poop. What's up, VGM? I'd walk away from the computer for 5 minutes to go and drop a deuce. And while I was gone, they would go up for sale. And I'd come back to the computer and I'd be like, damn it, they're gone already. Or, I'd be at work and I'd be watching the Twitter accounts, make sure that there was nothing going on. I put the phone down for a few minutes, come back, and they've gone up for sale, and I've missed it. It was like that every single time. So I finally said, the hell with it. Yeah, I eventually signed up for those emails from Sony, and they said, hey, you've been drawn from like the lottery thing to be invited to this one sell-through that was happening at this one specific time on this one specific day. Be there and you will be able to get one directly from us. And I was like, fine. And I told my boss, I'm like, there's something going on. I didn't want to be specific because if I told him, like, I'm going to be buying a PS5, he'd be like, sit the hell down and get back to work. I was like, there's something really important going on. I need to, like, have at least an hour to myself at one point. I'm like, I'll stay on top of what's going on, at work, but I need to be alone. And he's like, all right, fine. So I went off to a separate room to do my work, but I was monitoring this thing. And the sale went up. I kept on trying to log in, and I could not log into my account. I would get to the website. I would put the PS5 in my cart. I would go to log in so it could bring up my account, and it would not bring up my account at all. And my phone kept crashing, and lost it that day too. And I was super pissed. Yeah, I was in a digital queue for like, I want to say 15 minutes. It wasn't that long, and then when I finally got in, it did not want to let me log in. He told you to buy him one too. So I went back to my desk, and my boss is like, did everything work out? And I just looked him dead in the eye and went, nope. I was mad. And then a coworker of mine knew that I was dying to get my hands on one of these damn things. And a friend of his turned out to be one of those scumbag resellers. The only thing was, what he was doing was he had a whole bunch of PS5s, and he was contacting all of his friends and saying, like, hey, I have a PS5. I'm going to raffle it off. Tickets are $5 each. If you want one, each ticket is $5. There's so many tickets available. And once I have all the tickets sold, I'll raffle it off, and whoever wins it, wins it. And he makes a decent profit off of it. Well, my coworker won one and came to work the next day bragging that he had won one. And I'm like, hey, and he's not a gamer at all. He does not game. So I'm like, hey, like, I'll buy it off of you. I'll give you an extra $50. And he goes, no, I'm just going to give it to my nephew. I'm like, what? He's like, I'm just going to give it to my nephew. I'm like, dude, I'm willing to give you you're going to make a huge profit on this. You spent $15 on raffle tickets, and I'm going to give you $550. I'm like, what? And he goes like, no, I'm giving it to my nephew. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Well, turns out that guy put another one up for raffle, and this guy that I work with bought another like $15 worth of tickets and won another one. But he refused to let me know, and he told everyone that I work with, don't say anything to Chris about me winning another PS5 because he's going to get pissed. I found out anyway, and I was like, dude, can I buy this one off of you? He's like, no, I'm giving it to my other nephew because the first nephew got mad, or when I gave the first one to my other nephew, this other nephew got mad that he didn't get one, so I gave him one. I'm like, dude, I understand all that. I'm talking about, like, I'm going to give you money. You're going to be making a lot of money off this. He's like, no, I'm going to give it to my nephew. I'm like, fuck. So that was out the window. Well, then like a week later, he comes up to me and he goes, I got you a PS5. I'm like, what? And he goes, I talked to my buddy that's been raffling them off. He has a whole bunch of them. He goes, he goes, I went up to him and I just asked him if I can buy one. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, and I'll sell that one to you. I'm like, well, how much did you pay? He goes, I paid him $550, so you give me $550. I'm like, all right, cool. And because he knew how mad I was, I'm like, all right, cool. And like, I don't think our relationship has ever really been the same since. He doesn't really talk to me all that much anymore because of that, because he felt like he was pissing me off to the point where he had to do this in order to make me happy, but it made him unhappy kind of thing. But whatever. But I have a PS5 now. I went and picked it up at his place and brought it home and immediately started using it. And the thing that really made me mad even about that was the day before I got the PS5, I had gone out to buy Horizon Forbidden West, Horizon Part 2 on the PS4. And then he comes and tells me that day, hey, I got you a PS5. You can buy it tomorrow. And I'm like, if I would have known, I would have just bought the PS5 version. I'm like, shit. But I was able to upgrade the game to the PS5 through the PS4 version that I had. But anyway, and I've had nothing but good times with this thing ever since. I know a lot of people complain about, the design. Yeah, the design looks stupid. It is super tall. It looks like a space age modem. It looks like it belongs on the set of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies on the bridge of the Enterprise. But I think it's a really cool console. It loads everything super fast. It has all these great capabilities. I absolutely love it. There's a PS2 or a PSVR 2 available for it now. I am in love. I love this thing to the point where I feel like I have no need to buy an Xbox Series X. Usually, I will eventually get every current gen console. Like, it's been like that since the N64 era or whatever. I had the PS1, the N64, and the Saturn, and I had all the other. I didn't have, like, I think the generation before where it was like the 3DO and all that. I only had the 3DO, the PlayStation, or not the what was it? The 3DO, Super Nintendo, or does the 3DO fall under when the Nintendo 64 was out? I don't remember. Whatever. I'll just say when the PS5 or PS2 era started. How about that? With the GameCube and the Xbox, that's when I started buying every major console that was out. This is the first generation where I have not felt the need to buy every one of them. And I absolutely love it. Here is here's my PS5 backs to prove that I got it. And I even picked up a brand new controller just in case I needed friends to come over and play multiplayer games with me or whatever. I bought an extra controller. I also upgraded it. I bought a 2 terabyte solid state drive that I installed in the console, and I have not had the need to like erase an install since I bought that thing like over a year ago. I also upgraded the outer shell of the PS5. Instead of having that white color, it now is completely black, and I think it looks really slick. And it has 2 giant like vents right where the fans are on the sides on these new panels on the side, so it lets the air flow even better than it used to. So I play this thing a lot. I have a ton of games. I had a bunch of games for this console before I even had the damn console. From like the moment it came out, whenever I would find a game that I was interested in that was on sale from like Black Friday or some random clearance sale or whatever, I would buy it if it was something that interested me, even though I could not even play it yet. And by the time I actually had the console in my hands and plugged into my TV and all that, I already had like 10 or 12 games for the damn thing, which is kind of crazy. And just like the PS4, my collection for this thing is growing at an exponential rate. There is constantly games being released for this console, and I cannot keep up. I've had this console since, February of 2022, and I already have like 100 and... Geez, I wish I had my phone handy. Like 130 some games for this thing already. It's nuts. But lots of games are always being discounted. I find games that come out that are already discounted when they come out, or like their budget titles. Some stuff that doesn't sell immediately goes up. Like a major title, if it's not something that's released by Sony, like you give it a month and it's already discounted $20. I mean, like I refuse to buy the PS5 games that are $70 at launch. I've only bought maybe 2 that were $70 at launch. I wanted to play them that badly. Outside of that, I'm willing to wait. I have not bought Spider-Man 2 yet, spoiler alert, because I'm not paying $70 for it. Plus, I'm waiting for a complete edition to come out because of all the DLC that's being released for that thing. So, let's get into these games. So, like I said, I keep buying... I buy so many games for the PS5, so just like the PS4, I can't keep up, and I have not played a lot of these. It's pretty recent, Air Twister. I learned about this from, I think it was the Q Dogs, talked about this in one of their videos, where this is essentially a spiritual successor to Space Harrier, the old Sega arcade game. It's essentially the same kind of thing. You're playing as this character who flies all around the screen. You're facing into the screen, and enemies are coming towards you, and it's your job to fly around and blow them all out of the sky. And I love Space Harrier. I used to play it in the arcade all the time, so the idea of like a modern-day Space Harrier, even though Sega has not given us one ever, something comparable, I am all about it. So I was not going to pass that up, and it was... Also, like it came out as like a discount game. I think when that released, it was $30. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just reading your stuff now. Yeah, I get why he's doing it, but goddamn. Yeah, he saw how mad I was getting. I'm like, dude, I'm going to give you money. Yep. This one I slept on, and I kind of regretted it. And then I found it randomly when I was out game hunting with Rocket Sauce and Captain Algebra, and I think it was who else was it? It was me, Captain Algebra, Rocket Sauce, I think TJ Kitsune, and we went all around Wisconsin game hunting like we do. We tend to do it at least once or twice a year, and then also in Chicago at least once or twice a year. I missed my shot at picking up a copy of this brand new. I figured it was going to be one of those games that's just going to be out there forever because it's a remaster. And then out of nowhere, like it's not in production anymore, and it's going for like 80 or some bucks, or $80 and around there online, and I didn't realize it. So we went game hunting in Wisconsin. We go to this one store. I find this on the shelf. I have it in my hand. Rocket Sauce sees it in my hand, and he goes, "Where'd you get that?" I'm like, "Oh, it was on the PS5 shelf back there." He's like, "How much are they charging for it?" It was like 35 or whatever it was. He's like, "Dude, that's like an $80 game now." I'm like, "When did this become an $80 game?" And he's like, it's like out of print now or something like that. So now all of a sudden the price is, jumping up. And he's like, if you didn't see it, I would have picked it up. Or he goes, if I saw it first, I would have picked it up. And that's Alan Wake remastered. What? I mean, I knew that there was going to be a demand for this when part 2 was being released. So I figured this was going to be around for a while, but apparently not. So I played through Alan Wake on the PlayStation, or not the PlayStation, it was the Xbox 360 when that was first released. And it solidified my love for Remedy as developers. I love Max Payne 3, and this made it even better. I mean, like, it plays a little bit like Max Payne. It's a third-person, like, action survival horror style game that is, like, set up as if they're each, like, section of the game is a television show. And when that section ends, it's like next time on Alan Wake, and then it kind of cuts, and then it picks up and like, today on Alan Wake, and this is what's going to happen, kind of thing. It's really cool the way it's set up. I love the story. I love the character of Alan Wake. I'm dying to play part 2. I'm not going to do a digital download of it. I'll tell you that much. You release that physically, or I'm not buying it. Plain as that. So I absolutely wanted to get a copy of this, but like I said, I put off buying it because I figured it was going to be out there forever, and that bit me in the butt. I got lucky with that one, apparently. And Rocket Sauce was kind of like, shit, when he saw it. Where did I get this from? I don't remember. Well, anyway. Oh, this is one of the games I bought before I had the PS5. I found it like discounted for Black Friday or something, and that is the Alex Kidd DX or Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX or Deluxe. So this is a remaster of Alex Kidd in Miracle World, which is, I think, the first Alex Kidd game. Yeah, I think that's the one that like came with Master Systems, and then eventually, like with the Master System version 2, it came built into the console. So it's an old school platformer. And this comes with a little rubber keychain with the logo on it. And I still think this is super funny. It comes with like a manual that is sideways like the old Master System manuals were, which I think is awesome. That it comes with a manual at all, I think is great. And it also comes with the versatile artwork, which, you know what? The hell with it. I'm going to flip this shit around. Because I can. I'm an adult, and I do what I want. Although this does not have the PS5 logos on the side, which might clash with the when it's on the shelf. But whatever. I do what I want. So now it looks like that. It looks like the original artwork, which is awesome. And you can play the original game on it as well, which is kind of cool. Okay, so this one is a special edition I got from PlayAsia, and that is Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. So I don't think this is a retelling. I have not played it yet. Oh, excuse me. This is not. I don't think it's a retelling of Vertigo. It's like the video game version of the movie Vertigo. Wish you had a Master System adapter for your Mega SG. one of your Genesis has a power base converter. I love the Master System. I love it. I did not have one back in the day, but my uncle did. I talked about this in the stream about the Master System. My uncle had one, and he bought it. He didn't play games. He bought it so when people came over with kids to visit, the kids would have something to do. And, I made great use out of it. I absolutely loved it. I played that before I played a Nintendo. What's up, Retro Coop? But this is, I guess, borrowing ideas from Vertigo, the movie, to tell the story. And it says here, the truth is sometimes worse than madness. Ed Miller survives a car accident where, he believes, his wife and their daughter died. However, no one was found inside the car wreckage. And you have to explore the character's memories to see if he maybe has some brain damage, maybe there's something going on, maybe there's a big conspiracy kind of thing. It's a thriller, and it sounded really interesting to me. So it's almost like an investigative thriller, and it came with this big outer slipcase and an art book as well, which is pretty cool. And it also came with a free download for, I guess, the official art book. Oh, the soundtrack, sorry. This is the game soundtrack. I will put you in here so I don't lose you because I would like to download you at some point, sir. So I thought that was really cool. Is it a licensed game? I guess in theory it is, but I like the idea behind it, so I wanted to get it. I need to find some time to play that this year. I think Church the Game Grinder played through it and he really liked it. Yeah, the Hitchcock movie. It's actually called Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. But it's not based on the movie. It's like taking ideas of the movie and making it into a game. This one I need to spend more time with. I tried it out and I was really excited about this at first. I think the original idea was it was going to be a PC-only game, and it was going to be digital only at that. And then eventually, like, a physical edition just popped out for the PS5, and I happened to catch it when it was released. And it was released as a budget title. And then I told all of my little inner gamer circle, Church the Game Grinder and Jason of Corpse Flood Gaming about it, and they were just like, what? And Jason jumped on it, and he's already played through it. I tried it. I couldn't get used to the control scheme, but he said he had problems with it too, but eventually he got used to it, so I'm thinking I just need to give more time or dedicate more time to it. That's Aliens Dark Descent. So I had a great time playing Aliens, Fireteam Elite, which was like the online multiplayer Aliens game that came out a couple of years ago. I absolutely love that. And this one is not that. This one is a squad-based tactical strategy game, which plays like you're playing it on a computer. It was designed to be played on a computer. So what I mean is, it's top-down, obviously, like a strategy game is. But the thing is, if you want to move, you have to use the controller to select a point on the map you want to move to, click it, and then everybody will start moving there. You want to attack something, you have to click the thing you want to attack with, the controller and all that. It's kind of annoying, and sometimes the characters don't move the way you want them to move. Sometimes you think something's going to attack in a specific way, and it doesn't, like one of your characters, and I'm going to throw the grenade to that guy, and it kind of goes off in a weird direction. It's like, what? I clicked there. What's happening? I don't get it. So I was not enjoying myself all that much. I played it for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I got pretty decently far into I want to say I was on the third or fourth mission. And then that was when the kinks in the armor started to show up, and I was just kind of I don't think I like this. But like I said, Jason was willing to give it more of a shot than I did, and he enjoyed it in the end. So I will probably have to do that as well. Because I love Aliens as a license. I had to try it. This one I got from Limited Run. Limited Run jumped on the PS5 bandwagon pretty quickly also. And this I had to get because this is a lost full-motion video game from back in the day called American Hero. It's the most outrageous full-motion video game never released. I guess it was being planned to be released for the Sega CD and the 3DO and all those disc-based systems from the early 90s, but just never happened. It says, a restoration and remaster of a game lost to time for over 25 years. American Hero is the outrageous and unforgettable FMV game that lets you play as Jack, the star in an over-the-top 1990s Hollywood action movie featuring an explosive Hollywood production with insane action and gut-busting laughs, a winding player-directed plot with multiple paths and endings. Actor Timothy Bottoms returns as Jack with newly restored voiceover. So it stars Timothy Bottoms. You can see that that's him right there. And I guess modern day, when they wanted to finish the game to be released, he had to come back and record some voiceovers to complete it, which is awesome. I need to play through this. I love me some good full-motion video games, and I was glad to see that pop up on Limited Run. Next up is a sequel to a game that I own on the PS4. I learned about this from Tiger Chainsaw. He releases like pictures like the way I do on social media. Like every few weeks when I have enough games to actually take a picture of, I'll take a picture and say, hey, these are my recent pickups. He does that more often than I do. Even if he only has like 1 or 2 games that he has picked up, he'll take a picture of it. Well, he was like, hey, I picked these up on Amazon, deep discounted. I don't know if there's a clearance sale or what, but they were super cheap. Go and check them out if you must. And I went and checked them out, and I was like, yeah, they are pretty cheap. So I bought a couple of games that he recommended, and one was Origami 2. And this is, I do believe, is this a side-scrolling? No, this is a 3D action beat-em-up where you're playing as like a ninja. And I had the first one. I have not tried the first one, but I bought the second one. I bought this mostly because it was cheap, and I was like, I need to start building up a PS5 library, so I picked it up. I talked about this one, I think, last month in my recent pickups. This is one that I got from Limited Run, and it had been so long since I had ordered this through Limited Run Games, compared to when it showed up from when I ordered it. I've totally forgotten what the hell this game is. And that is Arcade Paradise. Apparently, this is an arcade operations simulator. Like you own an arcade. Welcome to the Arcade Paradise. It's 90s retro arcade game and light management sim combo from cleaning toilets and picking up gum to doing the laundry. The road to Arcade Paradise isn't easy, but the reward will be worth the grind with over 35 fully playable arcade games to unlock. So that sounded pretty cool to me when I first ordered it, and then when it showed up, I was like, what is this again? Like, it's been so long, I don't remember. So, yeah, I think it's the fact that I can unlock arcade games to play in it is what drew me to it, but the arcade sim part is kind of like, But you never know. I love the sim parts of ActRaiser where you're town building. I love Sim City, so I'll probably get a kick out of that. Bought this one off of Amazon, dirt freaking cheap. I still haven't played it yet. And that is Arkanoid Eternal Battle. So it's just like an upgraded version of Arkanoid with a whole bunch of different modes. So it's basically Breakout. The old school Atari game Breakout. But it's multiplayer. You have a bunch of different modes, flashy-ass graphics. How flashy can Breakout and Arkanoid get? I'll find out eventually when I pop this in. But it says, includes a battle royale with 25 players. And I guess you need to be online to play this. We'll see. Eventually I'll try it out. But like I said, I got this dirt cheap. And what is it, Microids? Microids releases a ton of freaking games for this console. Like, how many have I gotten so far? There's 1, 2, and I know I got a hell of a lot more. I'm only this far in. I've already got 2 by Microids. What's up, PS4 collector? Stealth Puzzler, one-hit kills. Yeah, I still haven't played the original, so yeah. I'm curious. What's me curious about that version of Arkanoid? The last one I played was Arkanoid 32. I feel old. The last time I played Arkanoid was probably back in junior high on my friend's Nintendo, because he had that little controller that had the little wheel on it that you could use on the NES. But yeah, I figured that'd be like a fun little time waster. If I don't feel like playing a long form game, pop that in, get a few games of Breakout in, and good to go. Just got this one recently too. I think maybe a couple months back. Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. I was interested in this. I love me a good mech game, Mech Warrior on the Super Nintendo. Hell yeah. What's that? Mech Assault on the Xbox. Hell yeah. I have a few of the Armored Core games. I haven't spent a whole lot of time playing them, but I probably should. But the thing is, I saw a video of this, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Like, the designs of everything, it is just absolutely crazy graphics-wise. So I felt the need to pick it up. And plus, I got it dirt cheap. This got discounted, like, I want to say a month and a half after coming out. And I picked it up, and I was not going to pass it up because the price it was at, it was right. I'll eventually get around to that. This one I picked up at the church, the Game Grinders recommendation. He said it was pretty cool, and that is Asterigos, Curse of the Stars. And I do believe it's an action RPG. Yeah, decide the fate of Aphis. Embark on a journey full of danger in this action RPG inspired by Greek and Roman mythology. So when I get sick of playing open world games, I'll play this. And this is the deluxe edition. Doesn't really say what's deluxe about it. I'm sure I'll find out when I open it up. But it's from Gearbox. I played this. I got a trophy just for booting a game up in it. But it's like a multi-cart kind of thing. It's the Atari 50, the anniversary celebration. So this has tons of old Atari 2600, 5200, 5800, Lynx, and Jaguar games and arcade games built into it. And when I booted it up, when I first got it, I was like, oh, they got Tempest 2000 for the Jaguar on it. That was my favorite game on the Jaguar. Let's play a little bit of that. It's been a while. And that game is still super fun. And I got an achievement just for beating. I beat a section of that game I could never beat back with the when I had my Jaguar in the 90s, because that controller for the Jaguar kind of sucks. But there's like these bonus stages where you're floating around these clouds. You have to fly through rings. And I could never precisely fly where I needed to in order to get into the rings, because the longer it goes or longer the section goes, the faster everything moves. And I just could not position myself right with that controller. I did it just fine on the first try with the PS5 controller and got an achievement for beating that part. So it's pretty fantastic. There's some great games on here. So I recommend picking this one up, especially if you're a super retro guy like me. This one I got I think I got this in January, and that is Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. This is a tie-in game that came out like a year after Avatar 2. It's not about Avatar 1 or 2 plot-wise. It's its own thing. It takes place in a section of Pandora that we haven't seen in the movies yet. I think it's like more of a swampy, forested, mountainous area. And you play as all new characters and all that. And it's basically just like, it's an open world game that takes place on Pandora. And that sounds absolutely fantastic. I love me a good open world game. And this got great reviews. And this is the limited edition. And what is limited about it? Comes with a special equipment pack for use in the game. Okay. But I definitely want to play through this year. I think it sounds absolutely fantastic. I like the idea of playing through an open world Avatar game. That sounds great. The original one that came out when the first movie came out was more of just like a straight up third person action game, but that one's more about exploration. Next up, we have one of the most hated games that came out last generation. It got an upgrade to the PS5. I bought this twice. I bought it on the PS4, never opened it, ended up selling it for the exact same price that I paid for it, so nothing lost, and got the PS5 version instead, and that is Avengers, the one by Square Enix. And everybody seems to hate this game. Well, I have no plans of playing this online. Far Cry and Alien World? Yeah, it does. It looks rad. I have no intentions of ever playing this online with people. That's what I hear the complaints are from. I guess the online was terrible. They were definitely taking forever releasing the new characters that they were going to give away for free. Like, I know Jason from Corpse Flood Gaming was complaining that every single time they were about to release Spider-Man as a playable character, it would get delayed or something like that. And then like Black Panther came out and they released, I think, Hawkeye. Yeah, I think Hawkeye was another one that they released. I don't plan on playing this online. I only wanted to play it offline, and the offline sounds just fine. Everybody that I know that's played this offline has said that's actually pretty fun and well put together pretty well. The online I hear is just a complete shambles. So I don't care about all the hate reviews that this was getting. Maybe it's because Miss Marvel is a big character in it. She definitely gets a lot of hate, with the TV show and movie that she's been in, which I don't think is deserved at all. So I'm definitely going to give that a shot eventually. This one was like a launch game for the console, and it got horrible reviews. I got this for $10, and plus Amazon accidentally sent me a second copy of it for whatever reason. I ended up giving it to Church as a gift because he had a PS5 also. That is Balan Wonderworld. And this is, like, I guess playing Mario 64. So it's like a third-person action platformer, almost collectathon kind of thing. And it's supposed to be super freaking cutesy and all that, but the reviews were not good. So paying $10 for it, I was not going to say no to that. But I'll try it out eventually. This is another one I got this from Strictly Limited. And that is the Breakers collection. Breakers is a series of one-on-one fighting games from SNK that were released for the Neo Geo, and I think on the Neo Geo CD as well. And this has, I think there's only 2 games on here. But yeah, they're 2D fighters. I have one of them on the Dreamcast, which is pretty awesome. I should just open this and see what the hell's in it. Unboxing, everyone. Oh shit, resale value going down the shitter. If I can open it, that would be a fantastico. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, it comes with it actually has a manual. Hail yeah. So, let me see if it has anything. Has all the moves. That's awesome. That you get the moves, the move list. That's great because this is not a franchise that I'm super familiar with. But from what I understand, it has like 2 Breakers games on it. So that's cool. So I'm never going to be collecting for the Neo Geo, although I can play Neo Geo CD games now if I want to. Wink. Fun fighting games. Definitely give it a quick go. Yeah, I definitely will. Now that it's open, I have no excuse not to. So one of the things, or one of the franchises that I have always been a huge fan of, I don't do Strictly Limited anymore because of shipping. Yeah, any of these online retailers like Strictly Limited, Limited Run, Super Rare, and all that, Pixel Heart, all that. I'm really getting sick of how long it takes for you to get what you paid for. Most of the time, I forget that I have bought these games, and then they'll just like show up, and I'll be like, "Oh, surprise for me!" But I really should try to remember because what if they never ship and I've lost all that money? Nah. But yeah, I have definitely been slowing down when it comes to like Limited Run and stuff like that. A franchise that I've been ignoring for the longest time. I do have a couple of the newer games in the series, but I have not played them. Usually, I'll wait for them to get discounted, or if it's something that I'm really interested in story-wise, I'll buy it right off the bat and play it. But I'm not paying $70 for these. Especially when I'm only playing the single player, not the multiplayer part, which seems that everybody needs to know, or everybody seems to gravitate toward is the online portion. I play these for the single player, the campaign mode. But I've been buying them when I find them cheap, but I have not been playing any of them. Last one I played was, well, I'll show you what it is. We're talking Call of Duty. Last one I actually played was World War II, which I think is one of the better Call of Duty games when it comes to the campaign. That campaign was pretty fantastic, but they keep on. I think it was the one after that they released was Modern Warfare 4, or not Modern Warfare, Black Ops 4, and it had no campaign mode. And I was like, well, if it doesn't have a campaign mode, there's no reason for me to buy it. And I just kind of lost interest after that. They kind of shot themselves in the foot with me, or for me. And every time I find one dirt cheap out in the wild, I'll pick it up. I got this for like $25 when I was game hunting in Wisconsin. So this is Black Ops Cold War. I know absolutely nothing about it, so can't comment. And I've also picked up a copy of Call of Duty Vanguard, which I think goes back to World War II again. But I have not played that either. You did Strictly Limited for your copy of Monster World 4, but holy shit, took over a year. Yeah, and they messed up the vinyl. Wow. Yeah, well, you know what? If it wasn't misprint, it's probably worth more money. Good to know. I never ordered from them. Took well over a year and a half to get my copy of Scott Pilgrim. Yep, same here. Well, I didn't order this. I ordered the special edition, not that limited huge box thing that they did. I just got the one that came in like the snap case. It looks like a giant Genesis case. But it did take, I think, a year to get that. But like, there's games from Limited Run that have been like in a holding pattern for over a year that I've been waiting for. One of them was that Rendering Ranger 2 for the Super Nintendo. I think that was one that was holding that entire order of like 4 games up for over a year was because of that. All but 3. That's cool. But yeah, I still have like I think 3 or 4 orders on limited run that haven't shipped yet. I'm probably going to order something that they have coming up also, but like I've kind of slowed down. Like I used to order everything from limited run, but I've definitely slowed down. Like I honestly go there maybe once every 2 months to see what they have. But now that they have that Amazon store where you can buy all their overstock, that's great because I don't have to wait. I don't have to pay in advance and then they sit on my money for a year before they do anything about it. I just, the game comes out, you can just go there and buy it when it's released. So this is a game that I bought, was told to send it back or to return it because there's definitely going to be a complete version released in the future because the massive amount of DLC bullshit that was going to be released for this thing over the course of its life. So I bought it day one. It was one of the few games I was willing to pay $70 for. I bought it. That night, I was told by a friend, take it back, wait for the completed version, returned it, got my money back, and now the game is never going to get a complete edition because the game undersold. So they're not going to finish any of the things that, well, I think some of it came out, but not all of it. None of the story DLC, I think, ever came out. That's Callisto Protocol. This is supposed to be like the spiritual successor to Dead Space. And I hear some people that I know said it was cool. Some people I know said it was poop. But the thing that really pissed me off is all this DLC crap. It wasn't just story DLC that they were releasing for it that was going to be released that you had to pay for separately. It was like fatalities, like finishing moves that you can do on the enemies, like a coup de grace kind of thing. You could pay money to get all these extra kills and all these costumes and shit. I don't care about any of that. I just want to play a game that's fun. And if I had to wait, like if it was just for the DLC stuff, I was just going to wait for a complete edition. It's never going to happen. So I found this at Walmart for, I think it was like $15 or whatever it was, or $10. I can't remember. It was back in January, I think, when I picked this up. And I still haven't played it, but I will eventually. Yeah, Contra Remake is one of the games I'm definitely going to buy. Yeah, it wasn't Dead. It's not. Well, if it was called Dead Space and it didn't play or feel like Dead Space, then I'd be mad. But it's not Dead Space, and I think people needed to realize that. But that wasn't why I got rid of it. I got rid of it because I wanted a complete edition because I don't have to buy the game twice, and I don't want to buy all this extra content and pay $70 for the core game, and then have to you probably end up paying $120, $130 in the end for everything. No, I'll just wait. Anyway, where was I? Oh, here's another one that I picked up from Strictly Limited. This is one of the ones that I forgot that I had ordered. So when it showed up, I was just kind of like, huh? That is Cannon Dancer. I don't even remember what kind of game this is. I think it's supposed to be kind of like playing Ninja Warriors, like it's a side-scrolling action game, because there's no game artwork on here. Maybe I should open it up and take a look. Let's do another unboxing. Wah, wah. Yeah, this is another one that was like, I ordered it and totally forgot that it was coming. And then when it showed up, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, that. I think when the breakers came in the same package, I was like, oh yeah, that. I ordered that, didn't I? There is no... Oh, there we go. Yeah, it looks like Strider. So it's like a side-scrolling hack and slash. That actually looks kind of cool. Some might be getting installed on the old PS5 tonight, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Picked this one up at GameStop. It was deep discounted. I went there one time. I think it was... I want to say this was the last time... No. It's probably the second to the last time I went to a GameStop. Last time I was in a store was when I was with TJ Kitsune and Mega Matt. The time before that, I just walked in there on my lunch break because I had nothing to do, and I was just kind of like, well, if they have anything that's cheap that looks cool, I might buy it. And I picked up like 3 games, and this is one of them. It's The Chant. And this is a sci-fi survival horror game. A spiritual nightmare. It just says it's like psychological, psychedelic, dimensional terror kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, a horror game? Yeah. And on the PS5? Yeah, I'll take it. Give it to me. I think this was like $15. So I picked it up. This one, I kept on seeing this whenever I would go to Best Buy. Like when I was buying the current 4K television that I own, I remember standing there waiting for my coworker, the same one who bought me the PS5. Because I was buying this gigantic TV. It wouldn't fit in my car. He had a giant truck. So he was like, I'll meet you at the Best Buy after work, and I'll help you bring it to your house. I'm like, all right, fine. So while I was at the Best Buy waiting for him to show up, I was like perusing the movie section when it still had a movie section. And in the video game section off to my left, they kept on playing the trailer for this game over and over again. And I was like, I like the looks of that. I like the type of game it is. If I had a PS5, I'll definitely buy it. And then like 2 weeks later, I got a PS5. So I was definitely trying to get a copy of it, but for some reason, this was like unavailable everywhere. Like I had to buy a copy of this off of eBay. I couldn't get it on Amazon. It was completely sold out. I think the price had dropped on the game, and everybody like jumped on it. Excuse me, I got a burp. Excuse me, blah. And everybody jumped on it, and they completely sold out on Amazon. They were completely out of it on Target. They were completely out of it on Walmart's website. GameStop didn't have it. I had to go to eBay to buy this damn thing. And that is Chorus. And this is an outer space, like, dogfight, game, like Wing Commander, which is a genre that I love. The thing about this one is, though, you have psychic powers. The woman who is piloting the ship that you play in, it's like a symbiotic like living ship that is like plugged into the pilot, so they like talk to each other. It's like sentient, and she's developing like psychic powers that you can use to help target your enemies and all that kind of stuff, and see further ahead and all that. It's really cool the way it works. The story's a little weird, but I really enjoyed it. I did play through this one completely. I absolutely thought it was great, and I ended up talking a bunch of people into buying a copy of it as well. It's pretty awesome. I highly recommend this one if you like Wing Commander style games, but this one's got like a twist. It was decent. It had to do with a cult. Yeah, I haven't tried that one yet. This one I bought recently too, and it was already discounted, but I should expect that from Game Mill. Basically, this company buys licenses the way that LJN did and just pumps out games. The only thing was the game, this is part 2, the first game in this franchise I have on the PS4, and it was actually really fun. So I had no problem buying the second one, and that is Cobra Kai 2 Dojo's Rising. I picked up the original Cobra Kai, what was it, The Legend Continues, I think it was called, or something like that, on the PS4 because it was dirt cheap. I think I got it for like $10 or something at like Walmart. And I was like, I played it. It's a beat 'em up. It's a simple beat 'em up. But the cool thing is you have all the characters from the show, and you can play as both dojos. You can play as Cobra Kai, or you can play as Miyagi-Do. If you're playing as Cobra Kai, you play as Johnny. There's a woman, like a young girl. There's the guy with the mohawk, and there's the lead kid who played Blue Beetle. And then when you're playing as Miyagi-Do, you play as Daniel, you play as his daughter, you play as that kid who used to be in Cobra Kai but switched places or like swapped allegiances to Daniel's side, and someone else I don't remember. But it was a really fun beat 'em up, and you upgrade not only your characters but your dojo, which gives you even more special moves to do, which is really, really cool. It's super, like, everything is upgradable, and it just makes it super fun to play. Like, you can just unload crazy combos and shit. So when the part 2 came out, I was like, I'm interested. I'll wait for it to get discounted a little bit, and I did, and here it is. I'll play it eventually. This one I picked up when I was in Minnesota visiting Church the Game Grinder and Justin Cardboard Zero, and that is Chris Tales, which is an RPG, I do believe. Yeah, best sleeper hit, best RPG, official selection of whatever convention they were at. But yeah, it's like a RPG that looks kind of like you're playing an anime. So, and this was like cheap. I think this was like $20-$25, so I picked it up. Sorry, new stack there. This one I picked up not too long ago. This one was deep disc. I keep on saying dip instead of deep. Tongue ain't working right now. Deep discounted on Amazon, but it turns out I probably should get rid of it because there's a complete edition of this out now. That is The Cult of the Lamb. And the reason I wanted this is the artwork really reminds me of Binding of Isaac, and I was assuming that this was made by the same people. Maybe it is. I don't remember. But from what I understand, it's actually just like a sim where you're creating a cult and trying to maintain a cult and draw in more followers. I can't remember who I was talking about it, or I was talking to about it. I think it was Megamat, and he was like, "Yeah, it's all right." So I got it because it was discounted, and I thought it sounded kind of cool, and I liked the studio that I thought made it, which I think did make it. I could be wrong, but definitely had to get this. Do I have any codes? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But I bought this game 3 times, and that is Cyberpunk 2077. So I originally bought this game on the Xbox One, played it on my Xbox One X, amid all the people complaining about how broken it was and that it wasn't finished and that it's like it'll break your console kind of bullshit. Didn't have one major problem the entire time I played it. I played through it in like 2.5 weeks, I want to say. For an open world game, that's really fast for me, but I got really deep into it and only saw like minor graphical stuff happening. Never had any of these like crashes or anything like that happen. But when they announced that the DLC, Phantom Liberty, was coming out, and I was really desperate to play it to the point where I was actually willing to pay for it, I bought the PS4 version because I wanted to be able to play it on my PS5 because it was upgradable for free to the PS5 version if you bought the PS4 one. So I got rid of my Xbox version, got the PS4 version for I think $20, played it on my PS5, had a ton of shit happen to it while I was playing it there. Like, it crashed all the time. Didn't really have a whole lot of graphical bullshit going on, but it was like it crashed like every second time I would play it. It would like I'd be walking down the street and all of a sudden your system has encountered a problem. You must reset. And I was like, God damn it. But then they released like a couple of patches and things changed and made the game even better. They released like it changed the whole upgrade system, which is awesome. Now your character is like super customizable. And you have all these new things you can do, which is great. And then Phantom Liberty dropped, and holy shit, that is amazing. One of the best DLCs I think I've ever played. And on top of making the core game even better because of all the things you can get and do in that enhance the rest of the game. And then eventually they released like the complete version that has Phantom Liberty built into it. So I got rid of my PS4 version, and now I have this. One of the best games I think I've ever played. As much bullshit and hate as it got when it first came out, I think everybody's done a complete 180 on it. Now everybody loves it because it's been patched so many times and now it's playable. It was playable back then. Nobody was willing to give it a chance. Couldn't say what it was like to play it on a PS4 Pro. Couldn't say what it was like to play it on a PC. But my friends, Church the Game Grinder, played this on a pretty high-end PC when it was released. He didn't have any major problems. Jason from Corpse Flood Gaming played it on a PS4 Pro. He didn't have any major problems. I played on an Xbox One X. I didn't have any major problems. So, don't know what to tell you unless you're playing on a standard PS4 or a standard Xbox One. But one of the best games I think I've ever played. Played through it again. I'm going to play through it again also because I want to see the flip side of what I chose to do in the DLC and see how that affects everything. Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's one of the best games I've ever played, and I cannot wait for part 2, which I think they're actually doing. Despite all the bullshit and hate that they got, they're still going to make a part 2 from what it sounds like. I'm here for it. If they want money, I'll give them money to make it happen. Here's one that is, I think it was from Limited. Yeah, Limited Run released it, but you could buy this on Amazon before the Limited Run store showed up on Amazon. Like, I think they made a deal with Amazon where they would just sell their overstock there and not have like it be through third parties or whatever, or second parties. So like every once in a while I'd be like looking through the PS5 games that were available on Amazon, and all of a sudden some Limited Run games would show up, and it would be from Limited Run, but they hadn't opened an official store yet. And this is one that I picked up. It's called Dark, the complete edition. And it has 2 different games. It has like the core game and 2 DLCs called The Tower and The Crypt. And from what I understand, it's like playing, what's the name of that game? Inside or Limbo, where it's like everything is kind of monochrome. And you're playing through this kid's nightmares. which sounds pretty awesome. I love me a good scary horror game, so I had to pick that one up, and that was cheap as hell. Picked this one up because it's a sequel to a game that everyone was hyping up on the PS4, and I still haven't played the PS4 version, but I got a decent price on the PS5 sequel, and that is Daymare 1994 Sandcastle. This is the second game in the series, and the original game is basically a budget ripoff of the Resident Evil 2 remake. So it's a third-person action horror game. But of all the things to rip off, and that, from what I understand, they did it pretty quickly, too. It came out not too long after Resident Evil 2 remake came out. And we already got a sequel to it, so had to pick this up. It was not expensive at all. So it's another third-person action horror game. I'm here for it. Had to pick this one up because of what it is, but I have not played the core game that this is based on yet, and that is Dead Cells Return to Castlevania Edition. And this has the Return to Castlevania DLC built into it. And I guess whatever there's extra DLC too. What does that say? Rise of the Giant? Bad Seed? Fatal Falls? The Queen and the Sea? Return to Castlevania. So Dead Cells, I think, is kind of like, it's a side-scrolling platformer, but it's kind of like playing, I guess, Ninja Gaiden, and they decided to make a Castlevania version of it, and I love me some Castlevania, so I had to pick that up. This was dirt cheap as well. I think I got this for like $25, so. Come here, games, come here. Beat this one last year, the Dead Space remake / remaster. It is the original Dead Space through and through. Nothing really has changed. It just has a lot of quality of life improvements, and they clarified the finale a little bit more. The finale, I remember, I mean, I loved it, don't get me wrong, but the finale in the original game, I played it on the Xbox 360 and beat that one as well. It felt a little rushed to me and a little vague. So I thought I was missing something that I must have not read one of the little pickups that you get that tells you like the story and all that well enough to understand what was really going on, because it was kind of confusing. Well, they kind of clear it up in here. They made some extra stuff on top of making it so that what's his name, Isaac speaks in this. You see his face and he speaks in it, so that helps clear things up as well. I know a lot of people are pissed off that he spoke, but whatever. It's a great action sci-fi horror game. The progression system is great. The upgrade system is great. I love everything about it. It's scary. There's still some of the jump scares still got me, but played through this, I think, in about a week and a half. Absolutely loved it. Great upgrade. That's how you do an upgrade right. And yes, I definitely want to see 2. I don't care about 3. 3, I beat 2 on the 360. I started playing 3. I got about halfway through it and gave up because I'm like, this doesn't feel like Dead Space. It feels just like a generic action game. Would I turn down a part 3 if they released it? Probably not. I'll buy it. What's his name? Rocket Sauce from the Cartridge Club that I keep talking about. Absolutely loves this game. This is like one of his favorite games of all time. He talked about it all the time whenever we'd hang out. And I think it was the first time that it was me, Captain Algebra, Rocket Sauce, and Tiger Chainsaw went hunting or game hunting through Wisconsin. We went to this one store that Tiger Chainsaw told us about called The Pad. And we went there to see what they had. It's kind of like a multimedia store. They sell games, movies. I didn't see music, but they sell like Funko Pops and anime toys and general toys and clothes and stuff like that. So it's like this geek store. And we went to the newer section, or the games section, where all the new games were in the back. And they had like 3 or 4 copies of this sitting there, unopened, for like $25. And the game was still going full price when we found this there. So Rocket Sauce had said at the beginning of the day he hoped he could find a copy of this really cheap. And when he found 3 copies, I bought a copy, he bought a copy. I don't know if Captain Algebra bought one or not, or Tiger Chainsaw bought one. But the rest of the day, Rocket Sauce kept on saying to everybody, hey, it's the deal of the day. Or he'd hold the game up in the car and be like, deal of the day. And it's still an ongoing joke whenever we get together to go game hunting. Well, maybe we'll find the deal of the day today, huh? And we ended up doing it because we ended up going back to the pad the next time we all went game hunting, and I found that Cold War, that Call of Duty Cold War, for like $25, and they're still going for $70. So I said, "Oh, look, I got the deal of the day," and they're like, "Yeah." But I'm talking about the Death Stranding director's cut. So here's another game that, just like Avengers, that I had on the PS4. I bought the PS4 version, never opened it, found out that there was going to be this director's cut on the PS5. Got rid of my copy for the PS4 and got the exact amount that I paid for it. So, like I said, no loss. Then found this even cheaper than I paid for it for the PS4. So, Hideo Kojima game where you have poop grenades and you have blood bullets in your gun. Norman Reedus, does he do his little crying face thing that he does? This is on my list of games I want to play this year. I need to play it. I keep on saying I need to play it, and I just kind of like put it off to the side. I'm like, no, I'll play that after this game, and I just keep on doing it. No, it's getting played this year. Along with this one, I love me a good first-person shooter. I've had this installed on my PS5 since I bought it, but I just never seem to actually boot it up, and that is Deathloop. This is a first-person shooter where I think you jump through time. You get 24 hours, 8 targets, 1 rival assassin. I think it's kind of like you keep on reliving the same day like in Groundhog Day. But it is a first-person shooter, which sounds really cool. I know Church the Game Grinder played through this, and he said it was really fun, except a little frustrating at a couple points. But I like the whole 60s retro look everything has. I'm here for it. It sounds really cool, but like I said, I've had it installed on my PS5 since I bought my PS5. It's just I have not actually started to play it yet. I was given this as a gift from Sega Blocks. Me and Sega Blocks, I was doing stuff on his channel. I think was I on his channel? I don't know if he was on I know he was on my channel a couple times in his previous channel iteration. But Sega Blocks contacted me like out of the blue one day. He's like, "Do you have a PS5?" And this was before I got it. This was like a year before I got it. I was like, "No, unfortunately, I don't." He goes, "Well, you've always been really cool to me, you know." And he's like, "We get along great." He's like, "I'm going to send you a gift." And I'm like, "Oh?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to send you something." And I'm like, "Is it a PS5?" And then when it shows up, it's a copy of Demon Souls. Apparently, he got like a box of these somehow. And he was sending copies of them to like the people that he really liked. Luckily, I was one of them, and I could not thank him enough. That was awesome. Just send me this like $70 game for free. But it's a remaster of Demon Souls that came out on the PS3, like the blueprint for what ended up becoming Dark Souls. But this one has like an online component that is kind of strange that I didn't really understand, which is why I never really played it on the PS3. But yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I will. Got to start somewhere with these Souls-like games. But super cool that he sent me that. I hear it's great. Church the Game Grinder swore by it. Had to pick this one up. I got this one, I know, online somewhere. No, I got this on Amazon. I think. Did I? Yeah, I got this on Amazon. Demoniaca. Demoniaca Everlasting Night. And this is a side-scrolling, like a hack and slash, kind of like Castlevania, which I thought sounded really awesome. Yeah. Enter a dark world of grotesque maturity. Okay, edgelord. Explore, fight, meet new friends, and seek revenge against those who brought you unbearable pain. Face handcrafted enemies, each calling for a different strategic approach in combat. Dress and arm yourself in gear that's both practical and fashionable. Ooh. Enjoy grim visual design with a touch of eroticism. Oh, it's sexy. I think it's just trying to be super edgy. But whatever. I think it sounded fun, or I thought it sounded fun, so I picked it up. And it was not expensive. Beat this one. This is the first game I beat this year. I better cover that up. Yeah, this is the first game I beat this year, and I had it. I'm trying to think of how to put it. I liked it. I really liked it, but I actually had to take breaks from it because I was starting to get sick of it. Because the game is super long. I didn't have this problem with the previous game. The previous game, I could not stop playing. Like, I was addicted to it until I completed it. And by the time I beat that game, I was so OP that I went up to the final boss and I whooped its ass on the first try. Same thing happened here. as the game progresses and things get harder, I ended up making my character so OP, like I didn't even have to touch the bad guy to hurt him. I had an entourage of zombies following me around that did all my dirty work for me. But the thing about this one, I think it kind of overstayed its welcome a little bit, and I got sick of it, and I had to take breaks, and I would play different games in between in those breaks, and then come back to it. And finally, I just said, just get it over with and beat the damn game. I had a great time with it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm talking Diablo 4. It's beautiful. I love the story. I ended up playing as a necromancer, and the whole point with the necromancer is I can raise the dead and have them do my fighting for me. And I had them turned them into freaking bombs. So I would raise all these dead, send them at a bad guy, and have them explode. And they would take out waves of people. I didn't have to touch them. I was throwing my projectiles at them from afar, but I never had to go up and actually use my sword that I had on me. It's a fun game. Don't get me wrong. It's great. I love everything about it, but I think it's just a little long. It needed to be cut down. And then there's all these seasons that they're releasing. I don't want to play any of that. I just wanted to play the core game, beat Lilith, move on to something else. Because by the time I beat this, I was like, I think I'm kind of over it. It has an off. Well, here's the thing. I think you can. Yeah, you have to log on every time you play it, which is stupid. I never got into parties with anybody. I was solo the whole time. I'd be in town and I would see other players running around doing things that they needed to do for their character. Never talked to anybody or anything like that. I need to shift. My butt's starting to hurt. I never did any of that kind of online multiplayer stuff. I just think it's stupid that need just to play it. There's at least 2 times where I logged on and there was something going on with the server and it's yeah, you can't play right now. Something's going on, the system's crashed or whatever. I was like, well, if this wasn't online all the time, I wouldn't have this problem. This is stupid. Why are games like this? But it is fun. I did enjoy myself. I think it's one of the better games I played last year. Definitely not my number one, but I had a good time with it. But like I said, it overstayed its welcome. Next up is, I got some dirty looks when I picked this one up. When I bought this, when I went out game hunting with Captain Algebra, Rocket Sauce, and Tiger Chainsaw, the first time we all went through Wisconsin together. And we found this at the same store where I ended up finding that Alan Wake remastered game. And this is Doki Doki Plus. What's the subtitle? Literature, or Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. So I see this on the shelf. It's kind of funny the way everybody reacted to this. So I see this on the shelf in the PS5 section, and I'm trying to get a PS5 collection together. I just got a PS5. So I pull this down and I'm looking at it, and I'm sitting there going, is this some stupid waifu game? Because that's just anime girl looking at you all sexy, mysterious like. I'm like, eh. So I'm standing there, and Captain Algebra and Tiger Chainsaw kind of converge on me. And I kind of go, have you guys heard anything about this game? And Tiger Chainsaw stops, looks me dead in the eye, goes, that game is fucked up. And I'm like gross sex stuff? And it's no, it's violent wise. It's the story is fucked up. It goes to weird places. I'm like, oh. And then I read the back and it says, enter the #1 psychological horror experience. I'm like, that cover does not say psychological horror to me. That says waifu, yatta kind of shit. Was it woo woo stuff? But no, apparently this is a very fucked up game. A terrifying world of romance and poetry awaits. Write poems for your favorite club members and erase any mistakes you make along the way to ensure your perfect ending. Now's your chance to discover why Doki Doki Literature Club is one of the most beloved psychological horror games of the decade. Nothing about that says horror to me, though. Packed with exclusive new content, 6 new side stories, 13 additional music tracks, over 100 unlockable images, and unique goodies inside the box. This game is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. What? So you open it up, and this was open on the shelf. This was a used copy that I bought. But all the goodies were still in there, like a code for a soundtrack that looks like a floppy or an old school 3.5-inch disc. Business cards for characters in the game. A literature club membership card. These little cardboard punch-out figurines of the characters. Stickers. and a poem, which I understand is like a clue to something that happens in the game, like with Star Tropics. So even I talked to Church about it, Church the Game Grinder, and he even was kind of like, that game is actually pretty fucked up. So I'm like, nothing about anything on this box says to me psychological horror. It's very deceiving. Akira Toriyama. Is that the guy from that created Dragon Ball Z? I think. Is that who I'm thinking of? I had to pick this one up because it's a new version of an old game I love. And that is Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons. So it's a new version of Double Dragon, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite franchises from back in the day. Used to play the shit out of Double Dragon 2 on the NES. Only 68. Dude, that's... Damn. Well, that bums me out a little bit. Even though I wasn't really big into Dragon Ball Z, I understand what he did for anime. Like, my best friend... Like, that was the show that Dragon Ball Z was a show he used to watch all the time. That was the only thing he used to talk about when we worked at Kmart together when I was like in my mid-20s. But I know a lot of people love Dragon Ball Z. That sucks. But he even did, what was it, the designs for the characters in Blue Dragon? Jeez. But anyway, this is like a retro-styled beat-em-up, like the old Double Dragon games. But your characters are actually pretty tiny. Because I remember watching the Game Beaters playing this the day it was released digitally. And I pre-ordered it from Amazon. It just showed up later than it was supposed to. But I haven't gotten around to actually playing it yet. But I know of it. I know what it is. I've watched it being played, so I know I'm going to like it. I might actually boot that up tonight. It actually playing like a little mindless beat-em-up kind of action sounds actually kind of rad. I might do that tonight, actually. I had to get this. God, I got the hiccups now. Shit. Let me adjust this camera just a little bit. The only thing that sucks about having this attached to my computer now, instead of actually using the built-in cameras, whenever I bump the table, it shifts. Excuse me, I got the hiccups now. Of course I had to buy this because of what it is. Haven't played it yet, though. I hear it's not the... I'll be right back. I'm going to deal with these... Excuse me, I'm going to deal with these hiccups real quick. I'll be right back. Okay. Anyway, where was I? So definitely had to buy this because of what it is, and now all of a sudden I got a cough. Had to buy this because of what it is. I need to get that sentence out. I haven't played it yet. It is installed on my PS5, and I keep on saying I need to play it, and I just don't. But it is Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. Had to get it for the D&D license. I love D&D now. I run a D&D game that I stream on Twitch. And then I release the replays here on my YouTube channel. But yeah, RPG, action RPG, I think, more than straight up RPG, but had to get that. Why would I pass that up? There's no way in hell. But I haven't played it yet, which I'm actually kind of pissed at myself for, but I do believe that was a launch game too. Picked this up at Midwest Gaming Classic last year, found this dirt cheap in this like bin under this one big like seller's table. And there was like a sale going on that day where it was like, if the game is cheaper than a certain price, you get another game for like $1 or for free or something like that. But there wasn't anything under that price that I wanted. So like, I also was told by Rocket Sauce, like, hey, did you see that bucket of PS5 games under that dude's table? I was like, no, I usually don't look underneath the table because it's usually the shit that I wouldn't want anyway. And he's like, no, they have like a bucket of PS5 games there. I'm like, oh, okay, let's check that out when we get back on Sunday. So we went there on Sunday, and I pulled out a whole bunch of PS5 games, and you're going to be seeing some of those later on. I don't know about today, maybe next week. But one of them was Elden Ring. I still hadn't bought Elden Ring. I have all these Souls-like games, and I haven't played any of them. I have the Demon Souls right there. I have all the Dark Soul games on the Xbox One. And now I have Elden Ring. I have Sekiro. I have Bloodborne. I haven't played any of them. I think the only thing that would be considered a Souls-ish game is the Star Wars Jedi games, because they're like Souls-ish. Souls-light. How about that? So I need to play that. I hear this one is absolutely fantastic, but it will probably make me cry. So I'm not an online gamer. It's a cool world. I know I want to play it, but I'm just like, do I really want to die a million times? I'm not an online gamer, but I got sucked into playing Friday the 13th, the game online, and I really liked it. So like, if I was playing with my friends, I was all about it. So I played Friday the 13th for a little while. Then I got Predator Hunting Grounds, which I thought was an offline game. Turns out it wasn't. I was kind of pissed about it, but then everybody that I knew bought a copy of it. So I was playing it with Church the Game Grinder and Jason the Corpse Flood Gaming and Captain Algebra and Rocket Sauce. Playing it with Rocket Sauce was so funny because whenever we get exfilled, when the helicopter shows up and drops the ropes down and you grab the rope, you get like sucked up into the air, and every time he would do that, he'd be like, bye! It would make us all laugh. So whenever one of these new games of that type were released, like Aliens Fireteam Elite, which I absolutely loved, and Evil Dead the game came out, I would buy it with the intention of like, all my friends are going to buy it too, right? Right? Nope. The only people I know that bought this were Rocket Sauce and Church the Game Grinder. We played it together, I think, twice. And then we realized it really didn't have a whole lot of content to it. It was kind of like half-baked. There was like 3 stages you can play in. The whole idea is the same as like Friday the 13th, where people get to play as the survivors, the people who are trying to stop the Deadites, and then one other person plays as the Deadites, and you get to raise an army and all that kind of stuff, depending on how many people you've killed or whatever. The points that you get, you can spend on bringing like evil Ash to life and that kind of stuff to fight the good guys. You know, that kind of whole scenario. So there wasn't a whole lot of character. There's a lot of characters to choose from if you wanted to be the good guys. There's a lot of different versions of Ash and characters from the movies, the TV show, and all that kind of stuff. And that aspect of it was cool. But when it came to actually playing the stages, there was only like 3 stages. The objectives were all the same. And it just wasn't all that fun. Eventually, more stuff got released. And I hear it's fun to play now, but like playing it in the early days, it was like not. I wasn't digging it. So we only played it maybe like 3 times online, and we haven't played it since. So I don't even know if it's still online, which kind of sucks. But I think we should maybe give it another shot, see if it's worth playing nowadays. Something we can all do together. So I started this game, got about halfway through it, got stuck on a boss battle, and I was streaming it. I was streaming it on my Twitch channel, and have not gone back to it since. And now the follow-up to this just came out, and everyone's losing their damn minds about it. And like, you need to get off your ass and beat that other one so you can play this new one. Well, I waited for like the upgraded version to come out on the PS5 before I bought the other one. Before I bought it, I didn't buy the other one. So like, I'll just wait for that one to get discounted, and whatever upgraded DLC thing they decide to throw into it, I'll wait for that version. But we're talking Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. For whatever reason, this is now worth like $80 or $90 because of Rebirth that just got released, like the second part of this game. So I never really spent a whole lot of time playing the original Final Fantasy VII on the PS1. I bought it when it first came out because I was playing the demo of it that came with some magazine that I bought. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever played. Like, the demo was amazing. Bought the game, and I was like, I played that demo so many freaking times I burned myself out on the damn game. So I didn't even want to play it when I bought it. But eventually, I played through the first disc. Like, I think it was like a year after the game came out. I finally was like, play the damn thing. I played through the first disc, and then just as I beat the first disc, my PlayStation 1 crapped out. And I was like, I think it was like 6 months before I got a new one. So by then I didn't really care anymore if I was going to complete the game or not. I was just like, all these other games that I've had, I want to play those instead. So I wanted to play through this before the Rebirth came out. Started playing it 2 years ago. and haven't played through it. I'm like I said, I'm like stuck halfway through at one of the boss battles. I definitely am going to try to beat it this year, but I probably won't get Rebirth this year. How about that? So I liked it. I think it's fun as an action RPG. I don't know if I would like playing the original one nowadays, even though I do love Final Fantasy IX. But yeah, I need to finish it off. But the graphics are great. I love the characters and all that. I love the way the story's being told. I like the way the action got changed. It's a game that got you into gaming. Oh, it got a lot of my friends into it too. A lot of my friends got into RPGs because of that. Next up we have, this is one of those games that was from Limited Run and got like held up because of whatever else I ordered at the same time, but Final Vendetta. This is another like retro-esque side-scrolling beat-em-up, kind of like Streets of Rage. So I had to pick that up, but haven't played it yet. This I just got. I just talked about this last week in my monthly pickup stream. Had no idea that this sequel even existed. I remember I was on Amazon and it showed up in the people that have bought this thing that you're buying right now have also bought this or have also pre-ordered this. And I was like, is that what I think it is? Holy shit. We already got a sequel. Why is this one called Part 2 when the other Part 2 didn't have Part 2 in the title, but it is a sequel to the first one? So is this like retconning everything that came before it? Like the way the Halloween movies do in the current day Halloween movies, and the Exorcist movie that just came out is like retconning all the sequels away? Whatever. But we're talking Flashback 2. We had a sequel to the original Flashback. It was called Fade to Black. It came out on the PC and then eventually came out on the PS1 because I'm looking at it right now. It's on my shelf. And I guess this erases Fade to Black because Fade to Black wasn't all that great. Because the original Flashback is a side-scrolling platformer, but it was like one of those cinematic platformers like the original Prince of Persia was. You know, we had Out of This World or Another World to people overseas. And that, and like there's a couple. Blackthorn was one of those types of games. So I loved Flashback. I thought Flashback was one of the coolest one of those types of platformers. I will say that the 3DO version was probably still my favorite until the Switch one came out. But Fade to Black switched it up and made it like a third-person action game, and it was really clunky. 3D hadn't been perfected just yet. So movement and combat really sucked. So it was not very well received. But this one goes back to what the original game was, and it is another side-scrolling cinematic platformer just done with today's technology, which sounds absolutely fantastic. And this limited edition comes in a steelbook that has the memory cube on it from the first game, which I'm assuming comes into play here. And it also comes with a download for the soundtrack, and I'll cover up the code. But yeah, it comes with a code for the soundtrack on the inside of the steelbook. It's got some cool artwork as well. So one of my favorite games got an Out of the Blue sequel. You bet your ass I'm all about it. Here's another one of them. That's by Microids. This was one of the games I bought because of Tiger Chainsaw posting that picture on Twitter saying, like, look at these games I got dirt cheap on Amazon. That's where I got Origami 2. I also picked up a copy of Foreclosed, which I think is a first-person shooter, but it's done kind of like a comic book. So that sounded pretty cool, but I got this for like $15, so I wasn't going to complain. Even if it sucks, I'm like, $15, who gives a shit? Here is like one of those games that caused Square Enix to like lose a ton of money last year. And I ended up getting a brand new copy of this for like $10. But I don't think this sold at all. It looked rad. I remember the previews I saw looked rad, and I was really interested. But then when the reviews came out, I was like, yeah, I'll wait for it to get discounted. And like I said, I waited for it to be heavily discounted. That is Forspoken. So this is like a third-person action game, but you have like weird magic spells and things that you can do. But from what I understand, like I guess the story is kind of shitty. The combat is kind of shitty. The graphics, from what I understand, are great, but everything about it else like feels like kind of half-baked and unfinished. So maybe there's a patch for it or something that fixes things. I don't know. I have not played it yet, so I can't comment. I think I installed this on my PS5, and that's why it's open. But I did not hear good things, but I'm willing to give it a shot because you never know. It might end up being like one of those hidden gems everyone complains about but isn't actually poop. This one I'm definitely playing this year. because of what it is, and that is Gal Guardian's Demon Purse. Demon Purse? Oh, Demon Purge. The font makes the G look like an S. So Demon Purge. Yeah, it looks like some weird anime thing, but what it actually is a Metroidvania. And I love me a Metroidvania. So when I heard about it, and it's not actually that expensive. It's kind of a new game, but it's pretty cheap. Yeah, fight your way across this 2D side-scrolling adventure alone or in two-player mode, switching in between the Kamizono siblings from their hit series Galgun. Oh, so this is based on an anime. Well, that makes sense then. But they made it into a Metroidvania, and that made me interested, but I'm not going to watch the anime. Got this one off of... So I got the Vertigo off of PlayAsia. I picked this one off of PlayAsia as well at the same time, and that is Game Deck, the definitive edition. And this is a cyberpunk game. It just says, welcome to Warsaw City of the 22nd century. The tech of the future is so advanced that the term real is relative and life and death have no meanings, or has multiple meanings. Virtual worlds give rise to problems of the human innate nature, lust, sloth, envy, and pride. The residents of these virtual game worlds need specialists, game decks, private investigators with experience in these worlds whose work is to discover the secrets and explore mechanics hidden in those realities for the commission of your clients. You are one of them. You are a game deck. It includes a number of extra character skins and a downloadable digital art book and digital guidebook. But it sounds like cyberpunk as hell to me, but you're playing through digital realities. I think it's a first-person game. But it was pretty cheap, so I picked it up. And the funny thing is, you see how the game is spelled on the front. Game Deck. Gamedec. On the spine, though, it's Gamnudek. Gamnudek. So, maybe that'll be worth money in the future. It's got a myth print. Ooh. This is also on my list of games I want to play this year. This is also a director's cut of an older game that came out on the PS4, which I never played on the PS4. So, didn't lose anything there. Rocket Sauce. One time I was hanging out with him and we went game hunting. I think this was before we brought the little entourage with, when it was just me and Rocket Sauce going through Wisconsin game hunting. He took me to this place called Retro Dimensions. The Retro Dimensions is the place by me. Oh God, what is it called? Retro Generations or Gaming Generations? I think it's Gaming Generations. And I found the PS4 version there. And it was like $45-50. And I picked it up and I was just like, oh, I'll pick this up while I'm here. And he like slapped it out of my hand. And he's like, dude, it's September. Wait until Black Friday. You're definitely going to get it cheaper. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And it'll be brand new. Okay, sure. So I put it back. Never ended up buying a copy of it. But we're talking Ghost of Tsushima, the director's cut. When it came out on the PS5, I was like, I'm glad I didn't buy that because I'll just buy this instead. So this is a third-person action open world game that takes place in like feudal Japan. And I watched Nintendo stream some of this on Twitch one day. And I was like, wow, I need to play that as soon as possible. It looks super awesome. Never got around to playing it. Luckily, I ended up waiting for this. This comes with a bunch of DLC stuff in it, which is awesome. So this is one of the games I'm definitely playing this year once I finish the current game I'm playing, which is the new Prince of Persia. And then here's another one of those online multiplayer license games like Predator, Hunting Ground, and Evil Dead the Game, and Friday the 13th, and Aliens Fireteam Elite. And that is Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. This one is made by the same people that made Friday the 13th the game. It has Dan Aykroyd in it. It has Ernie Hudson in it, voice-wise. I think that Annie Potts is in here as well as Janine, but Bill Murray's not in this. And you play as a bunch of a new Ghostbuster recruit, and you have to go around to different locations with friends online, or I think it might have couch co-op. No, it's only one player couch. Everything else is online. Going to all these different locations and like finding the hidden ghosts and trapping them and clearing out the location and not scaring the crap out of all the people that are still in said location. And along the way, you find collectibles that can give you new things that you can unlock. You find these collectibles that will unlock things that will help your character in the game. There's like fungus that you can collect and stuff like that. And once you get the complete set, you unlock something for your character. There's a bunch of stuff like that. And you can go into like the occult bookstore that Ray owns and get tips and hints from him and all that. And you can like upgrade your equipment. You can get better traps, better proton pack, better goggles and all that. It's pretty awesome. And I was playing this online with Captain Algebra, and we're having a really good time with it. I don't think he got it. I got this right off the bat. I think he waited a while to get it. And then when he told me that he bought it, we ended up playing it online. But we ended up getting stuck because if you don't have a full party of Ghostbusters, which I think is like 3, you are stuck with a bot that the computer controls. And for the first few stages where the whole game is, where the game is still kind of easy, the bot is okay. But once you get to the harder stages, the bots are absolutely useless. So we got to a point where we just could not progress because we could not do everything that needed to be done within the time limit, and the bot would be like running into a corner, and we're like, dude, there's a ghost like right there, like trap it. And he's just like, nope, this corner is rad, you know. So we ended up stopped playing it until we can find another player, and then now Jason has just gotten the PS Online. And he has the game already, and I'm trying to talk to him into playing with us so we can actually complete the game on our ends, although he has already with his kids. But really fun game. I really like it. This one I got through... Where did I get this one from? I think I got this on Amazon, but it came with a Steelbook. Is that the right game? No, sorry. This is the other game I got with all the other stuff from Tiger Chainsaw suggestion. So it was this. Foreclosed. Origami 2. There's something still coming that I got, and this. That is Ghost Runner. And I think this is a first-person platformer. One of the best platformers of the year is in first person. Ghost Runner nails platformer with the grace of a cyborg ninja, which is exactly what it is. You're playing as a cyborg ninja in a first-person platformer, hack and slash kind of thing. And it was dirt cheap when I bought it, so wasn't going to pass that up. This is the one that I got the Steelbook. So I ended up buying this off of Amazon, I do believe, and it came with I got this off of Best Buy's website. And I think this is a pretty early game for the PS5, and I think there's a complete edition out for it now, which I might get rid of this in order to get that. But this was by Bethesda, and I thought it was pretty cool because it's a first-person action game, but you use like weapons and magic kind of stuff. I guess it has a little bit of a cyberpunk thing going on, but it's Ghostwire Tokyo. And this is one of those games that also kind of got mixed reviews. I thought it looked rad as hell when I saw it at, I don't know if it was E3 or what, or one of the states of play that Sony does where they showed what the game was like. And I was like, that looks rad as hell, but apparently it didn't sell all that well or whatever. So I ended up getting this like super discounted, and it came with a Steelbook for free, which is still sealed. I have not opened it. So Jason from Corpse Flood played through it, and he said it was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. I've definitely played through this. This is one of the few games that I was willing to pay full price because I waited. It came out not too long before Black Friday. I think it came out like the month before Thanksgiving. And then I was like, if it's not on sale on Black Friday, I'll just buy it, which is exactly what happened. And the moment it showed up, I played it, and that is God of War Ragnarok. This is the new iteration of God of War where it's all about the Norse mythology and not the Greek mythology anymore, even though the Greek mythology just does still pop up here and there. But as much as I loved the first God of War that came out on the PS4, the Norse version, I loved that one. I thought it was so great. This one is another game like Diablo 4 where it kind of wore out its welcome to me, or with me. I liked it, don't get me wrong, but it's like there's so much backtracking, and you end up hearing the same story told by multiple people, just with different wording. And it started getting really repetitive. Like I can only hear that like the same stories from Mimir so many times before I'm like, oh my God, will you just shut up? And like I was really starting to get annoyed. Like at the end, I was like, can we just end it? So like the game ends, I beat it. The game ends, and now there's all this like post-game content where like stuff from Asgard has crashed down onto Midgard, and you can go around and like look for things to beat up. I was like, no, I don't want to play any of that extra stuff. I beat the game. I got the end credits. I'm good. So there's that. And I think there's a DLC that just came out for this of some kind. It's a great game. Don't get me wrong, but it's one of those ones that wore out its welcome. This is another one that I think was like an early game for the console, but this had like 13 different editions come out that all gave you extra stuff. And I was like, you know what? I hear it's not the greatest thing. I'm just going to get the standard one. We're talking Godfall from Gearbox. There's like a deluxe edition and a special edition and a limited edition, and all they come with different add-ons and stuff. And I was just like, no, just give me the core game. I'm fine. But this is like a third-person action game. Save Aperion. You are the last of the Valoran Knights, masters of combat equipped with legendary armor called Valor Plates. Ascend solo or in co-op in Godfall, the first next-gen looter slasher action RPG. So I got this really cheap. I'll play it eventually. I keep saying that, don't I? Had to pick this one up. I pre-ordered this. It's the Grim Grimoire Once More. It's a remaster of Vanillaware's Grim Grimoire, which I do have for the PS2. And it's a really fun like action RPG kind of thing. Yeah, open the Grimoire once more with brand new features to explore. And then the rest of it is such small type I can't read. But I love Vanillaware. I love their art style. I love everything about them. The gameplay in their games. I mean, like Dragon's Crown. Holy shit. Absolutely love it. So I was not going to pass that up. That's one of those like hidden... I hate that term, hidden gem. But like Diamonds in the Rough from the Vanillaware library that not all people talk about. And I was surprised that that's the one that they picked to remaster. Next up is I beat this. This is one of the first games I beat on my PS5. That is Guardians of the Galaxy. After the shit that Avengers got, I think people thought the same thing that I did, whereas like Guardians of the Galaxy is going to suck. Like I hadn't played Avengers yet, so I didn't know what to think. I was just going by what the reviews and people that I know that had played it said like it was okay. So like when they announced there's a Guardians of the Galaxy game, everyone expected that it was going to be the exact same kind of game that Avengers was, where it's like team-based, beat-em-up kind of thing online. No, there is no online mode in this. It is story only, which is fantastic. And it's more of the comic-accurate version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, not really has anything to do with the movie, even though you can download or like unlock the costumes that they wear in the movies, which is kind of cool. But it's like the comic book appearance of the characters, the way they talk. The way they talk in this game, holy shit, it brings the game to life. There's like this banter that like characters are just constantly throwing at each other. That is absolutely fantastic. And like I said, it makes every character super likable. The gameplay is great. It's like a 3D platformer, run and gun kind of thing. There's puzzles to solve and all that. You end up coming up against Adam Warlock. There's like a secret Adam Warlock fight after the end credits, or like halfway through the end credits, if I remember right. Absolutely loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And I hope we get a sequel to it. I hope Square Enix gives us more games like this in the future for Marvel properties. Can you imagine like a Thunderbolts game with like those characters like this, or maybe even like the Defenders, or like the Young Justice thing that they're trying to set up in at the end of the Marvels? Anything like that. Anything that has a group dynamics as like a third-person action game, hell yeah. This I think was like the best-selling game of last year. And I waited and waited to get a copy of it because I did not want to pay $70 for this because I'm not a huge fan of the franchise, like a lot of people I know are. And then this was also the same situation that was going on with my Mortal Kombat 1. If you watched any of my recent pickup streams since like November, you know the trouble that I was having trying to get a copy of this and Mortal Kombat 1, and I finally got it. I think I got this at the end of December. That is Hogwarts Legacy. So I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan. I mean, I've read all the books. I was into it for maybe like a year. I've seen all the movies, and I was into it for more than a year. I was into it as long as the movies were up. And once the movies ended, I kind of like didn't really give a crap anymore. I did not like the first Fantastic Beasts movie, and I haven't watched any of the sequels. So like I'm kind of like out with Harry Potter. And plus, J.K. Rowling is a huge piece of shit. So I was not really all that interested in this, but it sounded like a really cool like open world Harry Potter game, and you're not playing as Harry Potter, which is cool too. You get to create your own character and then get sorted into your house, and then from that point on you play. And I'm just like, it sounds super fun. I'm not paying full price for it because of my feelings on, the person who created this franchise completely. But like I got a discounted copy of it, and I was not going to pass that up. So I'll play through it this year, I think. one of my favorite games, or one of the sequels to one of my favorite games of all time. This one is great too. I just don't think they evolved the combat very much since the first game. But this is the complete edition of Horizon 2 Forbidden West. And yes, it is called Horizon 2. If you look underneath Horizon, it has those two little slash marks. The first game only has one. Second one has two. It's part 2. So Horizon 2 Forbidden West. I bought this, like I said earlier in the stream, that I bought the PS4 version, then upgraded for free to the PS5 version digitally. But I wanted to get the complete version because I did not pay for any of the DLC with that version of the game. I got rid of my PS4 version, bought this. It has all the DLC added into it. It has the core game with bonus content and the Burning Shores expansion, which also includes the PSVR 2 mode for one of the DLC packs, which is pretty awesome. Absolutely love this game. This is the first game I played through and beat on my PS5, the older version of it. Absolutely love it. Cannot wait for part 3. Like I said, the only thing that I really didn't like was at the beginning of the game, at the end of the first game, Aloy is like this completely OP badass, all this awesome equipment. And at the beginning of this game, she's walking around wearing like the basic stuff from the she wore at the beginning of the first game. And one of the characters is like, "Hey, where'd all your equipment go?" And she's like, "I got mugged." I'm like, really? You beat this gigantic robot beast thing at the end of the first game, but some random human came up and mugged you? I call bullshit. And like I said, the combat didn't really change. It's the exact same thing from the first game. It's just maybe a couple of extra weapons you can get. I was going to buy this on the Switch. Luckily, I didn't. I ended up getting it on the PS5, and that is House of the Dead remake, limited edition, limited. So, yeah, into the screen, on rails light gun game from the arcade, remastered for PS5, and I'm going to open this one up. Because this one comes with a slip case, which is kind of awesome. It has a holographic image behind it. Oh, so that's an actual sheet. That's cool. So the holographic image, you can see the hand kind of coming at you in 3D. That's more like what I associate with. Like, I think that's what the cover of the Saturn version kind of looks like. Is like that shot of a zombie. And it also comes with these little cardboard cutouts of some of the characters, which is kind of cool. Anything else? Oh, and some stickers, because I'm 12 years old, apparently. Everybody needs stickers of zombies. But yeah, I've been wanting to play through this because I absolutely love light gun games, and I can't really play any of my older ones, my old favorites, because I don't have CRT to play it on. You can't use a modern TV, so this is definitely needed. And this comes with the full game. Oh, and all this extra. Okay, so there is nothing in the game that's extra. It's just all those little tchotchkes inside. That's the limited edition. But whatever. Can't wait to try that. Pick this one up. It's part rhythm game and part action game, if I remember correctly. But it's called In Sound Mind. This is the deluxe edition, which includes a digital art book and a digital soundtrack by The Living Trombone. We create stuff. And I randomly came across this on Amazon. It was one of those situations, like I said before, where I buy something on Amazon, and it's like people that have bought what you're buying have also bought this, and this showed up, and I'm like, what is that? So I click on it just to take a look at it, and I found out it's like a rhythm, it's like a music-based rhythm game, but it also is like an adventure-y game. It just says, explore and fight through a series of unsettling memories as you journey within the inner workings of the one place that you can't seem to escape, your own mind. Like, all right. Sounded really cool. And I like the art style, especially like if you look at the characters on the front. That is like kind of creepy. And there's a cat. And then the last game I'm going to talk about tonight is... This has got a long-ass name, too. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. So I've never watched the anime of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I've played the original JoJo game on the Dreamcast, which is a one-on-one fighting game, which I loved. I thought that was super fun, even though I did not know anything about the franchise it's based on. But this is more of the same. It's just another side-scrolling one-on-one fighting game, or you know what I mean. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. I've been talking. This is one of the longer pickups or live streams I've done when it comes to these video game collections. I did not realize like how many. I have so many freaking PS5 games. Goddamn, and this is only half of it. Another one-on-one fighting game like Street Fighter, but with characters from the anime, which I'm not familiar with at all. But I got this really cheap as well. I got this for like $20, I think, off of Amazon. So I was not going to pass that up. Okay. So that is it. That is all. That is the first half of my PS5 collection. I mean, look at all that. That's only half of my collection, and I've only had this console for 2 years. This is some bullshit. I have a problem. So I will be back next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Central for the second half of this live stream, and it will also be the final video game collection 2024 live stream. After next week, I don't have any more video games to talk about. So we're going to switch tactics, and we're going to do what I did last time, which is switch over to my movie collection. And there will be many, 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 many streams to show off that collection because it is number one massive, and I can talk at great length about every single thing in my collection because I usually have a story about everything that's in there. So either from my childhood or something happened I saw in the theater, whatever. I have great memories of all that kind of stuff. So once next week is over, we will move on to the movie collections, the film collection live streams. So I hope you all stick around for that as well. So thank you for coming and hanging out with me tonight. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Glad you were able to stop by and chat. I will talk to you all later. Hopefully I'll see you all next week. Stay safe out there. Chris of Midlife Crisis Media out.